Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of GreenBeegardener. I'm Keilan again, and GreenBeegardeners, we've all gone bananas here, so I'm a huge banana fan. It's an obsession of mine, just like for Jamie Rose's is her obsession. Well, I'm a banana collector, and sometimes I'll buy bananas when I see them at nurseries I've never heard of, or I've bought them online many times. This particular one I have here just came to me from Willis Orchards out of Cartersville, Georgia. They have a site online that you can actually go and browse the banana trees that they have. And they have a lot of different buying options, from the smallest banana, which is one that comes like this. Bound up is a little bit of a small, it's called a sucker, you know, the sport or pup that some people call them, off the size of a mother bulb. Or they actually sell the mother bulbs, and of course they cost more as you get bigger and bigger and bigger. But this one's come bound up with tape and some black plastic around it, of course, so that during the shipping process that it stays moist the whole time. So I'm going to go ahead and unwrap this, and you can imagine they do a good job of binding this up. So it's a bit of a pain sometimes to get the darn thing out. I'm going to go ahead and work on getting that out for a second. It shouldn't take me but a minute. Comes taped up pretty good, as you can see, and bound up. Because again, these things really do well ship a lot better than you think they would. First, getting this thing out of there without running. Oops. Squeeze some of the gel out. You can see it comes with the root in some gel, which then of course holds water for a long time. So I can manage to get this thing out. Tape on there is really done with. Here's what it looks like. You can see all that gel that they send it in. It's like an agar type gel like you find in a biology lab. Of course, it keeps a lot of moisture for these roots during the shipping process. So when you get one of these, of course, then you have to try and get it put into a pot right away. I wouldn't recommend putting this straight into the dirt in your yard. I mean, technically you could. It's amazing what you can actually do. I've even read where you can cut these bananas off without even any of the root material and stick them into sand and get them to actually take root. But it would certainly take a lot longer. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into a smaller pot. And the idea behind that, of course, is I want this to sit on my gardening deck for a while, so I can monitor it pretty close. And of course, to establish a good root ball inside the pot, before one day I'll move it to a probably bigger pot, let it establish a yet bigger root ball again. Once I've gotten it into a big enough root ball, and where the mother bulb that's underneath the banana gets a chance to grow, that mother bulb under there is also known in biology circles as a corm. C-O-R-M. Sounds like corn, but you know, it's supposed to be a corm. And of course, all the other smaller sports and or shoots will come off of that later. We'll take you a tour around my bananas collection. I'll show you all the different varietals that I have here, and you'll be able to see how that all works. But this one right here is called a Misa, M-I-S-I-A, Misa Lupi banana. And it's a type of ladyfinger style bananas. They're very sweet dessert bananas, but they're shorter ones, maybe about 4 inches long, and they're super sweet. Plus, they're supposed to be a pretty good producer as well. I have a couple of other varietals. There's a ladyfinger, and then this one's an improved one. If you think of the Misa Lupi, it'll help with disease resistance that some of the other ladyfinger bananas don't have. You go ahead quickly and water this here. Make sure it settles in there, because the whole point, again, is I'm not potting this for any other reason than I want the roots to expand out into the pot, so that eventually when I plant them into my yard, here in North Florida, we're in zone 9, which is well inside of banana growing territory. You can grow bananas, depending on the varietal, as far up as zone 7, I've been told. I mean, that means up into even like Tennessee. My guess, though, is if you're up in the Tennessee area, they're going to grow pretty slow, and you'll have some casualties. But you know, at least in the central Alabama, central Georgia area, in zone 8, they're a lot better. Certainly even in zone 9 it's not ideal. In the wintertime, my banana trees, if we get a cold snap, which happens some winters but not others, it'll kill the tops of my trees. And I'll show you a little bit about how important it is to winterize your banana later, so that if it does kill off the leaf tops, where you want to trim it, so that when it comes up next year, your chances of progressing towards a time when you're going to get fruit is much better. You go ahead and set this banana aside here. These two that I have in these pots here, this one right here is a pineapple banana in this red clay pot. It's supposed to have overtones of pineapple in it. Now when I bought it only about 2 months ago, it was the same size as this one, maybe even a little smaller. And now you can see it's starting to take over this pot pretty well, and it even has small little sucker or pup or spores, depending on what you like to call it, growing off the side of the bulb that's down inside of there. And you can imagine one day when this is large enough, it'll be producing bananas here on this one, and then when this one would die, and then the next one behind it, the next largest one, is the one that will produce the fruit for the next one. This one right here, I believe, is an African or a great African banana, and what I like about it is these bananas, they'll grow pretty tall, like about a 15-foot high banana tree, or technically a pseudo stem as it's referred to, but it'll be really tall. The pineapple one I think is more of a normal banana, more around 8 to 10 feet, and this Misaluki one I think is a more common sized banana as well. But I've got some that I'll show you that will grow eventually when I can get them there. I mean, I'm just starting myself, eventually as tall as 18 to 20 feet tall. It's called a Ceylon banana. All right, just in a minute we'll move out and I'll give you a tour of my banana collection. All right, here we are back again for the banana tour. You know, we just planted a banana that was sent in the gel agar and getting it started. That's on the bottom end, but this is, you know, what we're all working for. I just started my bananas collection here in Port St. Joe about 2.5 years ago. So anyway, this is a tree I bought about 3 years ago, and I moved it here. This one is a Rajapuri, R-A-J-A-P-U-R-I. And this has been my most prolific grower out of all the varietals I have in my collection. You can see here, it produced bananas last year, and this is this current year's crop, and you can see they're nice little bananas, but as long as I keep it watered and keep it fed, these will grow to be, I don't know, about a 6-inch long banana. Not like the ones you get in the store, but very sweet and tastes a lot like them. A good dessert banana. You can see here is the actual flower cone here. Each of these ovaries inside of each one of these is called an inflorescent, which is a multiple type of flower, you know, multiple flowers in one. Each one, of course, having the ability to produce a fruit. And what's amazing about bananas is that bananas are seedless fruits largely because they're all triploid genetically. You know, most things that we think of from a genetic standpoint are diploid, or they have one sperm and one egg get together, and 1N plus 1N makes 2N from a male and a female. With banana varietals that most of us are eating are triploid, or 3N. And the way they did this is there were some natural mutated bananas that somehow or another failed during gamete formation to split properly. And then it ended up making trees that were, instead of the usual 2N, they were tetraploid, or 4N. Now you can imagine if you take a 4N banana, like we'll say a 4N pollen grain with a sperm cell in it, and then a 2N banana then makes, when it makes gametes, then it make a 1N, the typical 1N. So 1N plus the 2N get together and make 3N. And then of course, if we clone those bananas, then we'll have a constant supply of 3N triploid bananas. So you can imagine then that then with 3N, if when this tree tries to make seeds, to do meiosis again, meaning now we have to split the genetic material into what will be pollen grains with sperms, ovaries with eggs. You can't divide an odd number like 3N, into 1.5N. It doesn't work that way. And so as a result, viable seeds fail to form, and we get a seedless banana that we all love. There are wild bananas out in the parts of the world that are still diploid, or 2N. Since they're even, they can make seeds. You can imagine a 4N banana that's had a natural event happen where during gamete formation you got a 4N plant. those are even, so therefore they can make. But anyway, from those two, combining them together, people thousands of years ago were actually able to make these plants triploid and actually be seedless and be the fruits that we love today. You can see that this is the mother stem for now, but even this banana tree has 1, 2, 3 smaller ones that are growing. This was last year's and it's dead. This one right here, after I get the bananas off of it, this stalk right here will die, and I'll either cut it back or whatever, and then these others will have to take its place. Now you can see that this one looks like it's the second largest one on this mother bulb. So this winter, when I'm trimming them, I'll make an episode for you to see that. If it does get killed off by a freeze, then I'm going to actually cut all of the dead foliage back to about right here. I'm not going to cut it all the way back to the ground. I've seen people that did that. They cut all the way back to the ground just every time, and of course the banana grows back just fine, but it doesn't grow tall enough. It has to replace all that pseudo-stem material. And so then they never get around to having a tree that's old enough and big enough to make fruits, and they're very frustrated by it. Or they are just like, well, I guess they're just ornamental. But no, we like the way they look. I love the tropical look that they give to our place. This is my man cave in the background, and where I was planting things. And I like that my neighbors behind me can't see into the man cave because of all this beautiful green banana foliage. It's a great privacy type deal. It cools everything off. You can see that the dog days of summer, of course, very hot. This has a lot of a cooling effect. This banana tree is a different varietal. This one right here is a grand name. Now what you know about this is the banana that Chiquita uses, probably the most popular banana in groceries. This one over here is a golden African, and it will be one of the tallest growers when it eventually gets there. Neither of these two have ever produced fruit yet. As you can see, they're getting close. I mean, from the size of the stem over here on this Raja, these are quite a ways to go. So you can see bananas truly are an investment, but in time, that is. But they're a lot of fun. You can see how bananas grow. This is not a true stem. These are actually really the leftover parts of the leaf that grows up. Each successive leaf adds girth to the stem. Here's the most current one. It comes up like a rolled up leaf, and as you can imagine, that leaf will unfurl. Some banana varietals that you can select from stores, you have two things you want to consider when you're buying for your area. One, how frost tolerant, well, I shouldn't say frost tolerant, how cold tolerant, cold hardy will it be required for your area. Some bananas I've, again, been shown that they're cold hardy enough to go all the way up to zone 7, which again would be somewhere around, Tennessee in the U.S., maybe North Carolina, depending on how high up in altitude you are. This Raja that I have here is pretty cold hardy compared to a lot of other varietals. The Grand Main isn't too bad, but it's not the best. So again, if I live in a pretty cool, if I was trying to grow these up in central Alabama, central Georgia, I think the Raja is a better choice than the Grand Main is. This Golden African's not too bad. But another thing that you also want to think about in terms of cold hardiness, but beyond that, is that bananas, you can see here, here's an example, that the wind, if you get a pretty good wind, it'll cause the leaves to split like this. They split like this. Some banana trees are more susceptible to splitting during high wind than others. You can see that aside from this one oddball limb, the Raja is very good for not splitting. On the other hand, I'm pretty lucky that this Grand Main has it. My guess is my house being here in the background has created a bit of a windbreak. With prevailing winds coming out of the west, which is on the other side of our house, these bananas have been protected by a bit of a windbreak from the house. When you're placing and planting your bananas, that's something you could think about. You know, how many hours of sunshine is the banana going to get? What kind of wind conditions is the banana going to get? And you can select banana trees that are more cold hardy, more wind tolerant, less likely to do wind splitting. Now again, wind splitting is not going to kill your banana. It's just better if it splits less, that's all. It's going to be hard to find bananas that don't have some split leaves. So think about in terms of where you're going to plant these, what kind of sun you're going to get, what kind of a windbreak that you're going to get, and select your varietals based on what the supplier says are the characteristics for that banana. I have a number of other bananas too that are smaller than these. These are my largest ones, and they've been growing really well, I think in part because of where they're placed. Hold on, we'll go look at a few more. before we wrap up this episode. Alright, we're back on the banana tour again, and these are trees, as you can see, that are much smaller. Jamie will show you the whole group. I have some that are just out of the pot. I have a couple more that have been in the ground, say, a year and a half to 2 years, but these are pretty far from ever making any fruit. I have put them along this area right here, where it sort of serves as a privacy again. And, you know, it'll be a privacy that looks very tropical and very pretty. At the same time, you know, will eventually give me some bananas if I hang with it. Here again, you can see how bananas typically are with this mother bulb here. They call this one right here a sword leaf because of its super thin leaf. These sword leaf ones, you can either chop them off. People sometimes say that they want to chop them off, especially if they have fruiting stalk. But I usually don't. But you can also cut these off right here with your shovel. You'll just take a shovel and you're going to put it in right in here. And you'll dig down and separate it off from the mother bulb. Now, I mean, I imagine it damages the mother bulb a little, but not anything that won't hurt anything. Then you can eventually move this into its own pot. And of course, it'll become another banana tree that you can expand your bananas. Now, you can imagine this will be a clone then of all three of these, which is an issue with banana trees, right? Since they're triploid, that means that they don't make seeds, right? And we like the seedless fruit. But it means also that every banana tree is a clone of another, of another, of another, of another. And so that means that they don't have a chance to evolve any disease resistance. So the typical sweet banana tree that most of us are getting our bananas from comes from a major varietal called Cavendish. And it is designated with the capital letter A, and the triploid is the AAA. These are all very sweet dessert bananas, but since they're all coming from the same genetic stock, they're starting to find that there are things like Panama disease and some other things like that that are actually causing problems for commercial banana plantations. Hopefully something that we won't run into here in Florida where I am. I'm hoping to stay away from it. I think we've got pretty good chances. Here's another Raja, just like the other one. You can see it's got really big leaves, but I'm hoping that it will grow up to be pretty strong. This one's a Raja here. This one right here is a Pisang Ceylon, which is probably the tallest varietal that I have. This one will grow up really tall. Who knows, maybe 20 feet. This one is a dwarf Cavendish here. You can have the standard Cavendish, which is about 8 feet tall, maybe 10 feet. And your dwarf Cavendish plants, they're going to be more like 5, 6, 7 feet tall. They're a little smaller. But the idea is, of course, they'll have a sturdy stalk before fruit. And then here's another one that's another Pisang Ceylon right here as well. And then finally, this one here on the end is my ice cream banana. So I've been told that they really do taste like vanilla ice cream. So I'm going to have some pineapple bananas, ice cream bananas, ladyfinger bananas, all kinds of different ones that should have different kinds of tastes. I don't have any here that are going to produce what would be a plantain, but I can get those, and of course those come from another line called the B version, and they're even hybrids of the sweet and what would make the plantains that are hybrids of the two. Again, once these things are made, they have to be cloned to stay triploid and stay seedless. But anyway, if you're interested in growing bananas, just like I am, there are a lot of different ones to choose from, and you can be like me if you live in a really nice growing zone that's pretty warm a lot of the time. You can grow about any one you want. If you live up in the north, you can have them outside during the summer and inside in a greenhouse or somewhere like that in the wintertime. That's an option for you as well. But why not have fun with bananas? Why not grow your own fruit and just see? It's just very fun to enjoy the curiosity of all of it. But anyway, if you have any questions for us, you can go on to our GreenBeegardener.com website. You can put questions or comments in the feedback on our videos. Also, I'm not too old or too smart or too educated or too experienced to learn anything from those of you out there that are masters of these kinds of things. Certainly, if you got any tips or tricks for me, I'd sure like to learn from you as well. But anyway, hope that you've learned some things about bananas, and we'll hope to see you again on the next episode of Green Bee Gardener. Plant some trees, save some bees. We'll see you.